determine if you stack up to the expectations of how you are supposed to measure up to the world. I just want to throw that out there real quick. Now, the problem that we have is this myth leads women to behave in ways that can sabotage their attraction. Some of the most beautiful women put their foot in their mouth, and I can't really tell them nothing after that because the attraction is gone. The conversation can continue, but the attraction is gone. Whatever attraction was there, it went from a full on potential admiration that also, obviously, most men are going to have a physical attraction to the woman, but at least it was coupled with admiration in the beginning. There was a wow, this woman might be amazing kind of thing. But then when identifies herself as like the pedigree of women because exclusively the education and the career, it kind of like simmers down. The admiration simmers down. And it actually, the longer the conversation goes from that perspective, it actually could just completely dissolve the lust out of the situation too. And then the guy's just like, nope, I don't want to deal with that red flag. Because it really does sabotage your attraction. It You might lead with your credentials on a first date, almost daring him to be impressed, and you might get defensive if he doesn't ask enough questions about your work. Uh, you might even use your professional superiority as a weapon in disagreements. Men don't like that at all. I'm just going to be real with you. You can be 5 PhDs, 15 years into your career. And what we are talking about right now could potentially have absolutely nothing to do with your work. Because see that is the key to discerning when your experience and your knowledge plays into the situation. If you're a nurse or a doctor and we're having a discussion about health symptoms and you put in your input, we're both going with that because you know what you're talking about. You've been here, you've done that. But if you're a lawyer and we're having a conversation about health, you could be the best female Johnny Cochran lawyer on the market, and you still have about as much knowledge about the topic as I do. But flaunting your college education because you might have took a couple of biology classes 10 years ago does not give you an advantage in the discussion whether the man is a graduate or not. It does not give you an advantage in the discussion. And typically in a discussion, and men do this too, typically in a discussion, when you don't have a counter argument, the first thing you do is challenge the man's credentials. You're in a discussion with your partner, right? Or your soon to be partner, right? And you're challenging their credentials for them to have an input into a discussion that is not impacted by his credentials. Likewise, you're using your credentials to challenge his input when your credentials do not impact this discussion. This type of behavior is not accepted by a lot of men. And this behavior often comes from a place of insecurity, a belief that if he doesn't worship your accomplishments, then he doesn't value you. And that's not true. That is a huge mistake. He isn't looking for a resume to admire. He's looking for a partner to build a life with. And this is a dynamic that not a lot of women pay attention to. I actually had a short debate with a brother earlier today. We were flipping through some TikTok reels, and this little girl was talking about being 24. So she's almost over the hill, and no kids. She admitted the fact that she started really young, but no kids, not married, and she's demanding that she finds a man that doesn't have any kids and never been married. And the dynamic, I seen one of the guys that commented, one of the men that commented, and he was like, "Oh yeah, everything she's saying is legit." And then I was like, "Wait, hold on. What about the men who have children but never experienced the ability to be a father?" We just covered the topic about alienation just the other day, just yesterday, right? And he's like, "Well, that's not what she's talking about." But no, it is. If a woman is saying that she wants to date a man that has never had any children, who has never been married, unlike women, where a man says that he doesn't want to deal with another man's problems, a single man can have children from donating sperm younger in his life, selling it off younger in his life. He could have children from a one night stand way back when, doesn't know that he had the kid until way later and signed away the parental rights. He could have had a kid in a relationship outside of wedlock that he thought was going to be promising, and it ended up not being promising before the child was born, and he did not have the exposure to the child where he wasn't able to be there. He could have been fighting his entire child's childhood to be in that child's life, never experiencing any of the stuff that you would experience. Uh, Painting rooms, setting up daycare scenarios, bottle feedings, diaper changes, but never experiencing any of that stuff, but actually have a kid on record. That's not the same as going to the labor room and watching the birth happen and being there with the mother and changing a few dozen diapers and then having a fallout halfway through and not having any experiences. You see what I'm saying? And the question was, well, what about the guy who's never experienced it but does have it on his resume that he does have a lineage? Um, the reason why the conversation went back and forth was because she's at 24 and she's setting a standard. And men set a standard, but the men have to set a standard based on realisticness. Because think about this, a man at 45, because didn't we say, well, we've talked about it before, but we did say that 50% of your age plus seven, right? So 45, half of that would be about 22, 23, right? Plus seven, you should be about 28, 28, 29. Um, No, 30. That'd be 30. I got the math under me, but I'm sitting over here thinking 22 plus 7 is 29. But it's 22 or 23. So 45, 44, 45, you're looking at somewhere between 28 and 30, right? So you start getting men between 40 and 45, they're going to be looking at the ladies between 25 and 30. She's 24. A 40-year-old man or a 45-year-old man is less likely to have zero children in their history. You know what I mean? We've understood that modern culture indicates that you're less likely to find a virgin in women. Uh, you're less likely to find uh, a woman with no children by 28. You're less likely to find a woman with less than two kids by 30. They're out there, but the men understand the dynamic, the logic, the statistics that typically, if you do find one that's 28 or 29 or 30 with no children, she's not likely willing to have them. But if she is willing to have them, that's like a rare scenario. And when you find that, you hopefully try to build on that. Uh, but when a woman is looking for the men and saying, "Hey, you have to never have," the longitude there is that from 24 the value starts to decline. Yeah, she's one of very few women who does not have children, which makes her highly valuable for men that are looking for a fresh start. But if her expectation is that he hasn't started yet either, well, she's looking for someone closer to her age group because the fella has not experienced enough in life to have had that child. Even some of the men that start later in life might start 27, 29, 32, 41. So, and the guy that I was talking to on the channel, he had a 2 year old. So he he just was 2 years ago. So the dynamic is still the same, right? The expectations that we have are polar opposites. So when you set the same standard that a man is supposed to abide by, that you're supposed to abide by as a woman, the expectations are going to be crossed. You're not going to get the same results, right? And I talk about that because love and companionship are the primary drivers for men in long term relationships, just like they are for women, just a little bit different. And a life partner is defined by their mindset, not their LinkedIn profile. So let's stop talking about the degree as a trophy and let's start talking about it for what it is in the world of attraction, a powerful signaling device. It's a clue in a much larger investigation into your mind. To really get what's happening in a man's mind, let's use an analogy. Imagine a CEO looking to hire a key partner for a 30-year contract. And this isn't just a job, this is a role for someone who will be there through the market crashes and the huge successes. A candidate walks in and her resume says she's a graduate from a top school. Does the CEO hire her on the spot? Of course not. The degree doesn't get her the job. The degree gets her in the door, gets her the interview. It's a signal that she probably has certain qualities. She can handle a tough workload, think strategically, and see difficult projects through. But the real evaluation, the interview, is just beginning. The CEO is now going to test for those qualities directly. He'll ask questions that probe her resilience, her problem solving skills, and her temperament under pressure. Because if you ask a woman too many questions, she gets pissed off, especially if you're asking her questions that make her contradict her beliefs. She gets defensive. She doesn't just work through the conversation as if this is a hypothetical scenario. She takes it personally, right? And the degree is going to be the hypothesis. The interview is what he confirms to be or turns out to denying the fact that the hypothesis may not be true. And this is exactly how high value men evaluate a potential partner. Your degree or your impressive job title, that's your entry it's attention. It creates hypothesis. This woman is likely intelligent and has her life together, which are all green lights. But that's all it is, a hypothesis. Now the interview begins. And that interview is every single interaction that you have. When you talk about your work, he's not listening to what you do, he's listening to how you talk about it. Are you passionate about your job or do you just complain about it? When you face a setback, do you rise to the occasion or do you crumble? When you disagree, can you engage respectfully or do you use your educated viewpoint to shut him down? Right? Men, especially successful men, know that credentials aren't the same as character. They've met plenty of people with fancy degrees who are lazy, entitled, and emotionally unstable. They know the paper on the wall is no guarantee of real world intelligence or kindness. So the degree itself doesn't hold much value to him in terms of attraction. He's not going to feel a surge of desire because you have an MBA, but he will feel a profound sense of attraction if he sees that the mindset that allowed you to earn that MBA is present in everything that you do. He's running a subconscious efficiency test. A man looking for a wife and a mother for his children has a huge decision to make. He needs to know if you're a collaborator or a liability. Will you make his life more peaceful or more chaotic? And that's a huge question to ask because when a woman talks about her education, and then in every conversation that is an educated conversation, she is going to use by identifying the fact that she's educated, identifying the fact that she's got a degree, identifying the fact that she went to whatever prestigious school she thought was prestigious, but it was just the most prestigious one in her neighborhood, and use that in the conversation to back her defense of what she might not know a lot about, instead of being honest and saying, "Hey, while I might have went to college, that's trivial information that I haven't covered. It's not always there." Exactly, Stephen. Exactly. A degree is cool, but personality is key. Another thing that a guy is going to look at when a man is talking to a successful woman, and this was another dynamic, which is why I was talking to the guy earlier today about the chick who was like, "Oh, I want a man who doesn't have any kids." Fine, I'm not going to argue with that. If I had 5 kids, I would scratch you off of my list of women that I would talk to because it's like you don't want a man. A man wants to have a legacy, and uh, we understand in history that a man was able to have. He lived to be 130 years old, coming out of slavery, and have 209 children, which would have required at least 20 or 30 women. So, I mean, if you don't want to be in that entourage, by all means, no. But if a guy wants to have multiple children and women are only willing to have one or two, he's probably going to have multiple baby mamas in order to have 5 or 6 kids. That's just the way it is. Um, Steven says, I have just obtained my associates. Yeah, I remember that, but feel no need to talk about it in a day to day conversation. You know what? Outside of the fact that people ask me in this channel, like, where does my education come from for me to talk about the topics that I talk about? My day to day operation, I don't talk about my degrees. I mean, a woman will ask me, like, where did I go to school? And then I'll tell them where I went to school, what I studied. And then when they find out how many degrees I have, they're like, oh, but in the average conversation, I'm just another guy because the 3 degrees that I have up underneath my belt does not define me as a person. because I can have 3 degrees and I could be handing you your fries in the drive-through window. You know, I, I could have 3 degrees and I could be living under a cardboard box under an overpass or getting trespassed out of a public park. It does not make me the man that I am. Now, yes, it does entail the fact that I do have a large quantity of knowledge, but how I use that knowledge, it really defines who I am. But another thing that men are going to be looking at with the women that have degrees and have success, we're looking at where do we fit in that life. He said, "Wow, I hope that it helped you a lot, bro. You need to." I'm gonna let that be strike one. You need to utilize this information to help yourself grow a little bit more. But when a man is talking to a woman about her career, because women think that when a man asks a woman what does she bring to the table, and she talks about her job and her education, those things do not hold weight on the table because what she's going to be doing is not paying all of the bills. Because if she was paying all the bills, then yeah, your career would make sense. Uh, but if she's going to be utilized in a equality scenario or a supportive role, not as the primary breadwinner of the scenario, your job really isn't going to be the primary factor in the situation. But your availability is, because you could be $100,000 a year woman on Wall Street, but the question is, are you going to have the time to spend 9 months in labor? Well, not labor, but 9 months before labor, plus the time you got to spend in labor, and then the 3 months off from work after labor. Are you going to have that time? We also have the narrative of, if your job is demanding because of the career that you have, if the job is demanding, are you going to have enough time to establish the type of relationship with the man so that y'all can reach that point where marriage is a discussion, or um, children are attempted? Or is this just a scenario where you're going to have like an accidental kid because y'all make enough money to afford it kind of situation? Like what is the dynamic of the relationship? You know, because the men modern day, we've already discussed that more than half, closer to 60% of men in modern times are looking to be fathers. We have a large generation of growing men that are looking to be fathers. We have a large quantity of men that are protesting parental alienation for men that are already fathers, fighting to be fathers. So when those children are grown, those men are going to want to start again, because whatever they missed out with this child, they're going to want to get that experience with the next child, which means if they don't have just one now, they're definitely going to have more than one later. It is what it is. And when they're evaluating the female, they're stepping up to the table with no children in the household, no financial responsibilities related to kids. Their oldest should be grown, moved out of the house, in college, and they are ready to have more with the current woman that they're talking to. Okay. That's the dynamic that we're looking at. And is she at 28, 29, 35, 37 willing and able to have 1 to 3 kids between now and the time that she's 40? That is the observation that the man is looking at when the woman talks about her education and her job. And I just got to ask you real quick, ladies, between 28 and 40, if you're willing to have between 1 to 3 kids between 28 and 40, what does that decision have to do with how smart you are? How many degrees do you have to be a mother? And how many hours at work do you have to have in order to be a mother? And we're not talking about the traditional barefoot and pregnant at the house because I've told you guys that there are different countries around the world where both of y'all can take paternity leave. The fact is, it doesn't matter what you do for work, and it doesn't matter what you go to school for. You can still be, with the right character, with the right behavior, a mother, and you can put the parenting responsibility on the dad and go and be an alpha boss lady without a problem. But are you going to be present in your relationship is going to be the observation. Are you going to be a supportive person in the relationship around the kids, before the kids, after the kids is the observation. And none of that has to do with you going to work every day. None of that has to do with you going for your master's or going for your PhD or going for your third PhD. You could have wrote a dissertation every 3 years since you were 18. None of that has to do with can you do this as a team? Because one of the things a man is going to look for, are you a team player who will face challenges with him, not against him, or are you going to create new challenges for him? Because he can't see the future, but he can look for clues. And your attitude towards your own accomplishments is one of the biggest clues that you can give, and it tells him everything. Uh, Steven says the major qualities to look for is a feminine woman. I agree with that. Who is loyal and kind. And if she does that, we can click and we can go from there. And you know how simple men are because most men have that exact same expectation. We're not looking for a barroom woman. We're not looking for the girls that can make it clap in the street. The ones that are doing those dances on TikTok actually are disqualifying themselves on the show. Because, truth be told, while yeah, we might sleep with some of those girls, that is not girlfriend behavior. Because what man wants his girl wearing tight clothes, showing off all of her assets all over the world? Women disagree with the mindset. A man wants a modest woman. We have no problem with the hoish attire. We have no problem with the 304 behavior. We have no problem with the women that are out there dropping it like it's hot for the sake of one night stands and jump offs. But when we think about the mother of our children, we default back to modesty. And it's the same type of modesty that we as men would teach our daughters is the expectation of modesty that we're looking for in the women that we want to make the mothers of our daughters. Isn't that something? Now, I know it's a double standard. Well, yeah, it's somewhat of a double standard because we're willing to, for the sake of lust, chase after women that are not qualified to be mothers and potentially turn them into mothers. But we desire the complete opposite. Now, women that are attracting men, they're trying extra hard to attract men. Those women are going to dress more provocatively so that they can get more sexual attention, which it works. But once they become the girlfriend, he's expecting her to not dress like that anymore. She gets offended by that. Well, I was wearing this outfit when you met me. That's when you were single. Now that you are taken, you should dress a little bit more conservatively. We're looking for the feminine women, not the gaudy ones with the eyelashes that are glued on, not the ones that's like looking like a different. You, you remember the trolls from back in the day? The little doll, one with the pink hair, one with the green hair, one with the yellow. That and every day there's a different hair color. We're not trying to get all that. He said, I don't want a woman that takes exactly. If it takes her 5 hours to get ready for us to go somewhere, it should. Like you should have started 6 hours ago because when I'm ready to go, I tell people all the time, if your ass not in my car when I put it in gear, you're getting left. Straight up. So if we had understood yesterday that we was going somewhere today, and I said that we were leaving at 6, and I start walking to the car at 5 minutes to 6, I done turn the key in the ignition and I start backing out the driveway. You're still putting on your foundation. Baby, you're gonna have to catch you a lift and meet me there. But at the end of the day, I don't want to have to deal with that. I don't want to have to deal with that. You know, I seen this actually on a podcast. A man had told the crowd to for women like to treat their men the way they treat their bosses. You come to work on time, you show up for work on time. But when a man tells you that he doesn't want to be late, an hour later he's still waiting on you to get ready. You expect him to wait. The lack of value that women have in their men is astonishing. But you come to find this out when you're evaluating her assumptions and her understandings of the mindset of her degrees and her education. He said, "Sure, let's break up for the bondo while we're while we're at it. I'll uh, be like the movie Death Becomes Her." You're gonna use Bondo and duct tape, plaster of Paris. Look, you're a construction worker, so you can redo the whole face. But one of and here's a funny dynamic because while we're talking about education and career, women put a lot of effort into their appearance to the magnitude that they are no longer original. They are no longer natural. Women say that they are allegedly natural with their sew in their head, And I seen yet another one. There and some spackle. There was a chick that was up there talking about she went to a job interview and the job did not like her hair. She had what they call that shit. So she had some hair that was kind of like micro braids, was sewn in, and it was none of it was hers. And I mean, it was hers. She paid for it, but it had like white streaks all the way down. Okay, not natural hair color. And one of the dynamics, even in the military, is that your natural hair color is supposed to be shown. So whether it's a wig, whether it's a toupee, whether it's glued on, it's supposed to look normal. Okay. You do not see pink and purple hair in the Marines. Okay. Female or not, you do not see pink and purple hair in the Marines. You know, ain't nobody getting no highlights shipped to them at Baghdad, right? Hold on, I gotta redo my edges before we go to war. That's not what this is about, G.I. Jane. That's not what this is about. So, they put a lot of effort into their appearance. And I respect them for that, but you're paying attention to the wrong stuff. You should be able to have your scenario established to where you can get it in and get it out in less than 5 minutes. He said that was pre-Biden. Yeah, because now the Marines never adapted that policy, but the Army did. Their pink hairs, their red hairs, and all that rainbow hair going around all over the place. Notice when I said the Marines, I did not say the Army. Ah, because Lord knows what you might get coming out of the National Guard. The dynamic was that the best of the best are not putting so much emphasis into how pretty their accessories are. They put more emphasis on getting the job done. And that's bringing us back to the three specific mindset tests that guys are running on girls. Because the first and most fundamental test is for what we'll call the growth and discipline mindset. And its core, this is your ability to commit to a difficult long term goal and have the resilience to see it through, even when it's hard or extremely boring. Yeah, that was the only branch that didn't. Well, how many of the pink haired, red haired, ponytailed out women can make it to the Marines, though? Yeah, it takes a whole nother level. It doesn't take a lot to enlist, but it takes a lot to get into the Marines. And your hair dye is not going to get you there. Social experiment with our military should be technically uh, is against the U.S. UCMJ. Well, it might be, but the thing. Okay, so I'm all for equality, and since I've reached that age where I'm not going to get drafted, I believe that I can say fairly, women who want to be treated equally should enlist so that they can get drafted with everybody else that's going to war. I'm not going. I will defend my country from my country. Everybody else can go overseas and be the first line of defense. I'll be the last line of defense. I'll arm myself to the grit. And when you put it out there on the news that the insurgents are somewhere, I'll meet you halfway. But, jump into the caddy and load it up with some Apocalypse Now equipment and go out there and be the reserve, which is what our Second Amendment was about, so that we can defend our country from our country. But um, the dynamic when when the women are trying to get into the relationships, they gotta think about it a little bit differently when it comes down to their education and their careers. He said these days I'll ask her to a pool to go swimming, and that's about the only way I would date. Phew. So let's go cliff diving off a slide of a Well, you ask a girl to go play pool or something, go swim, because the women ain't going really. They're not getting their hair wet. They might sit on the side of the pool, put their feet in the water, wear a skimpy outfit. But to go out there and get wet, like I used to go to the beach with the bros, and we used to be out there in the water. We was out there, walking dogs and everything to that effect. Take a female to the beach, she is not even ready for the beach. She is talking about some trying not to get sand in her shoes. And I'm sitting over here looking like, what did you come out here for? That's the whole point, to see if she starts to melt when the water touches you. Don't want to touch it. So when we're looking for the women that are expecting to commit to difficult long-term goals and show that resilience, even when it's hard, even when it's boring, what when you ask what and why, what is that and why does it matter to men? This is going to be because a marriage is the ultimate long-term project. Building a family is ultimately a long-term project, right? So marriage and family building. But life is going to be a full challenge. And there's going to be parts of it that's going to be boring as fuck as you're building yourself up to the type of family that can travel the world. Yeah, the excitement of traveling the world happens after you've made that money, but until you make that money, you're barely able to catch a bus ticket to the other side of the city, you know? Oh, look, and the female, the funniest thing about it, the females with the high cost of upkeep actually drain the funds out of the relationship and prevent from the high quantity of travel. We did the calculations before. Um, Hanging out in part. We talked about habits. Smoking and drinking can cost you, the drinking itself can cost you almost $1,000 a month. The smoking can cost you upward of 800 to $1,000 a month. The fun, the 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 fun itself could run you between 25 and $35,000 a year worth of just entertainment. Then when you start talking about entertaining her, you're paying double because you're paying for yourself and you're paying for her. That puts you at almost 50 to 60,000 a year worth of income for just entertainment. Her makeup, her clothes, her attire, and everything to make her look good could run 15, $20,000 a year worth of just to make her look good, right? And on average, you're talking about what, $150 every 2 weeks for nails, and then the hair is like 800, and that's 1,100 a month right there. just just hair and nails. You know, that's not the cosmetics. That might be $300 to $500 a month. You know, which puts you upward of $2,000 to $2,500 a month worth of upkeep plus the clothes that she buys, which again puts you anywhere between 25 and $30,000 between your entertainment, the entertainment, and her upkeep. Even in a relationship, y'all are spending almost $60,000. Now, if he's a $60,000 a year man and she's a $60,000 a year woman, and and that's not the nagging. That doesn't even include the nagging. But if he's a $60,000 a year man and she's a $60,000 a year woman, and they are together spending $60,000 on entertainment and her upkeep, the other $30,000 that each person brings to the family relationship would be covering the $60,000 standard of living. And then you wonder why they're still broke. You're living from paycheck to paycheck. You wanted a man that could travel the world with, and y'all can't even have a date night because y'all don't have any more money. Or the only date nights that y'all have is smoking and drinking and going to the club on the weekend. That's all y'all got going for y'all. And then when you start having children, the smoking and drinking actually transitions, the drinking club night transitions into diapers and daycare centers. He said, why are we broke? That's a good question. Why are we broke? That's fucking upkeep. Is it not to mention the keeping up with the Joneses mentality? Oh my God. I just seen earlier today where a chick bought four 50-inch TVs. She bought four 50-inch TVs and put them together to make one 100-inch TV. And I was like, what? Now, yeah, she made a 100 by 100 square TV, but she got the TVs that had the edge on it. So when they came together, still had that plus sign in the middle of the damn TV. She didn't like get the one with no edges where she could have put them all together and it would have looked like one bigger TV. But the fact is, she could have just bought a 200-inch TV for the price that she bought for 100, and I was like, that made no sense. But keeping up with the Joneses because people want bigger TVs. He said, I got 1,000 saved up. Yeah, but Kurt, you're not a chick. Oh, tell me about it. Tell me about it. Light bill goes sky high when you start burning TVs. You know that, right? People don't realize that. They be wondering what the hell happened to their light bill. If if you turn off a lot of the stuff that you don't need, you find that your electricity bill go down a little bit. People don't think about that. But these are all of the things that men are thinking about when we're talking to the chick that says that she's got this job and she's got this degree, right? A man who's serious about his future wants a partner who is a finisher, not someone who's just a dabbler who's going to get in there and get it started a little bit and then leave it to somebody else to finish it off. He wants a woman who has proven that she can handle pressure without breaking. He's looking for that grit, the same grit that he's got for the vehicle that he's had for 20 years has never let him down. Because I got a 32-inch TV that cost me $100. That's all I need. I have a cell phone that I turn sideways. I'm not spending nothing extra on that. TVs and air conditioners and heaters, and you you won't have much money. You damn right. You damn right. With the weather that we have right now, bro, if you're trying, if it's cold outside, if it's 45 degrees and you're trying to keep your house at 80 degrees, your light bill like $300 a month with central air heat. Set that some bitch to 72, and it's gonna be just as cool in your house in the wintertime as it was in the summertime when you had your AC at 78. Instead of trying to have your AC at 64 in the summer and 90 in the winter, running your bill up unnecessary because you know the AC ain't gonna hit that. The heater is not gonna hit 84 when it's 40 degrees outside, and the AC not gonna hit 65 when it's 120 outside. Be realistic. Now, on the surface, ladies, your college degree is a fantastic signal for the grit that guys are looking for because you were able to do that 6 to 8 years and get it out. I actually seen a woman talking about stuff. She was 42 and it's never too late to go back to law school. And I'm looking at her like, shit, you wrong. It is you 42. That is a last generation decision that you should have made 15, 20 years ago because at 42, you are never too old to learn about the law and how it applies to you. But at 42, you are too old to be taking on a $500,000 debt to achieve a piece of paper. Okay. Because you're going to put 10 years into college between 42 and 52 to get that bachelor's degree. And then at 52, with a $500,000 worth of debt, or if you're lucky, 100 to $200,000 worth of debt, you're thinking about trying to find a job that's going to hire you at 52 when they're looking for the 18 to 24-year olds. Your best bet, you would be a really good subcontracted paralegal doing that. You could turn into a notary doing that, but you're spending all this money on the paper, the paper, because you could probably save a lot of money. Just go get the textbooks, take the tests, and just have the bar license under your belt. You don't actually have to go to college to have somebody lecture you about the stuff you could have read on your own. The Yably with the college degree and a woman is that they got brainwashed by the whole liberal college thing. Uh, Valley left, and that didn't. Oh, that ain't my attraction. Well, most of us ain't attracted. Oh, that Leon left. Well, the the mindset has always been be extra successful, go to college, get you a better job, get you a better standard of living, have you a better family life. But they were talking to the men when they said that. They weren't talking to the women. And this, I'm going to have to agree with you as a liberal standpoint because conservatism is Republican and conservatism is being modest and, playing your role. And liberalism is the freedom to do whatever the fuck you want, however the fuck you want, regardless of how your decisions might negatively impact your future. And I am going to say, as a Democrat, that yes, that was a liberal position to say, yeah, ladies, go to college. And I'm not downing you for going to college. Go to college, get you a degree, get you a decent job, and then find a guy that can match that. Not so much if you've gone and you've got your law degree and now you're an attorney. Think about how much you're making as an attorney, because if you're a public defender and you're making 30,000, you're looking for a man that might have 40,000. You're a private attorney, but you're still a court appointed attorney. You might be making 60,000. You can still find you a man making 55,000. He does not have to be $150,000 a year man just because you're a lawyer, because you could be a nurse at the hospital in the ER making $45,000, and the night shift manager at the McDonald's in the same hospital that you're working in could be making $20,000 more than you. But because you went to college and he's working on the same job that a dropout would work on, that you don't value him as a man, and you talk down to him because of the degrees that you have, which really to me only shows the quantity of debt that you have, because that college degree costs money. But it is a fantastic signal that you do have the grit and the capabilities to go through the long, grueling, boring steps to be more successful. But it's a multi-year testament to your ability to show up, do that work for the delay of gratification, which is what a relationship is about. A marriage, raising children, saving and investing is all about. It is about showing up every day, doing that work to have that delayed gratification. A 20-year plan for success, which I've been talking to y'all about all year, requires you to show up, limit unnecessary spending. Yeah, you're going to have a little bit of entertainment, but you're going to limit unnecessary spending. You're going to redirect that money towards paying down debt and investing to raise more capital. And you are going to continue to do that for the delayed gratification of retiring in 10 to 15 years from whatever occupation you're working on. The delayed gratification of in 20 years, you don't have to work anymore and you can spend the remainder of your life enjoying life, living off of the interest of your investment options, so that you never have to wonder where your money's coming from because your money is always here. And if you paid your bills 2 to 3 months in advance before you quit your job and start living off of the interest of your shit could pay this month, and this month is January. Your stock portfolio from December could pay you in January, and your bills ain't due until March. And when you got that kind of lifestyle, your money could come in once a month, get deposited into your bank account once a month, and you'll be in a situation where all your bills is paid. You can set up travel. You can plan for the future. You can leave the country 3 times a year. You can leave the country for a whole year and come back. Because if you got more money than your standard of living, you can have your bills on automatic bill pay and leave and come back. You got automatic deposits into your bank account. So whenever the bills come in, they're gonna come and take. You got rollovers for your car insurance, so you ain't gotta do nothing. Only thing you might have to do once a year is call your health insurance company and re up your marketplace. But yeah, that degree brings debt and entitlement. We're not attracted to that. It's a good news. I'm wearing a regular boat now. I'm wearing a regular boot now, and no cane. Congratulations. Keep that cane with you. Keep that cane with you. Whether you put it in the back seat, whether you put it in the floorboard up underneath the driver's seat, keep that cane with you. No matter how good you think you feeling today, when the moisture starts seeping into that injury that you had from way back when, your joints is gonna hurt. You're gonna find, because I had an issue. You have it on the back of the foot. I have it on the front of the foot. You're gonna have stiffness, and that stiffness is gonna make you favor the other foot, right? And then your non-injured foot is going to have more pain than your injured foot. Keep that cane with you so that when your injured foot is bothering you, you can offset the pain by using the cane on the opposite foot, like a third leg. And you can alternate that because you only got one leg. So if the non-injured leg is hurting you more than the injured leg, then you can put more pressure on the cane, less pressure on the non-injured leg, and give yourself the ability to recover. I'm just letting you know because I had a fractured foot before. I had a fractured foot in 2020, 2025, and I still have the cane. Yeah, but I've had hundreds of thousands of it. And how many times have you broken a foot? How many feet have you broken in your life? Because if this is the first foot that you've broken in your life, you can. It ain't like busting a kneecap. It ain't like breaking an arm. You understand? Your feet hold your body up. You can fuck up the arms. Oh, so you telling me that you broke your foot 3 times and you don't know about keeping a cane with you? All right. I'm gonna let you have it. I'm gonna let you have it. I'm gonna let you have it. But I know for a fact that since you're going up and down ladders every day, you're carrying heavy stuff every day, I know that you are gonna find yourself in a situation. Look, both feet, you are gonna find yourself in a situation where one of them feet is gonna hurt more than the other one, and you're gonna wish that you had your cane with you, and I am gonna tell you I told you so. That's it. All I said was keep it in the car with you. Keep it in the car with you. Park close because you're not disabled, so they're not gonna give you one of them little handicap things, jigs. But park close. Keep your cane with you. You ain't got to take it with you in the grocery store on a regular basis, but I guarantee you that you're gonna get to that point, especially after this most recent injury, when you start moving around. Walmart might not be that big of an issue. You might be able to walk all over Walmart and go shopping. You might be able to, but you got kids. Take them kids to the mall. By the time you come, you look, take them kids to a theme park. By the time you come out the damn theme park, you gonna buy you a cane as a souvenir to get out the theme park. I'm trying to tell you. And you're getting old. These joints ain't as good as they used to be. All I'm saying is, as a word of advice, just point of reference, keep a cane in the car just in case. If you don't need it, it's in the car. You can walk around with two legs, and I'm not saying to keep a cane at your side all the time. But if you getting out the cane out the car and one of your feet got a little bit of a throbbing scenario with you, grab your cane and take it with you. Because by the time you get to where you're going, it's not about if you can get to your destination. It's about can you get back. That's what the cane is for. The cane is not because you can't get there. You've been doing what you've been doing for a long period of time, but coming back, that's gonna be the hard part. Is that now I live in the mountains and I regularly climb an 800-foot hill near my house. And that is not gonna stop the fact. See, okay, so climbing the mountain and then coming back down, it's easier to come back down. But see, if you was at the top of that mountain and you had to go down the mountain and then you start feeling bad and you trying to climb back up the mountain, climbing back up that mountain is nearly impossible. You're not listening to what I'm telling you. And I understand. I understand. You feel like you're invincible from experience as well as historical data. It is better for you to be prepared and not need it than to think you got it and not be prepared. Bro, we still live. Chill out. So if you bring it with you, you may not need it. You always have a cane in the car, whether it's in the trunk. It could be if you got a truck, if it's in the toolbox. It could be in the back seat. It could be on a floorboard. You got it. You don't need it. You're fine. But the day that you need it, it's in the vehicle. So if you feeling bad and you near the vehicle, you just go grab your cane and you keep doing what you're doing. If you don't need it, it's there. But if you gone, your cane is at the house and you need it, that's the moment when you're gonna feel like shit and you're gonna be like, Xander told me to bring my motherfucking cane and I feel like an asshole because I didn't do it. That's the one thing. And if you got multiple injuries, if you got multiple injuries, you're gonna have knees, back, ankles, feet. You're gonna be feeling like shit. You're gonna be crawling back to the car. And when you get there, you're gonna be sitting there for a minute, say a couple prayers in order to start the engine. The odds are your driving foot is fucked up, and then you got to get yourself back to the house. Long bath, soak it up. You're gonna call it all of the day's work, but I tell you what, muscling through it is not necessary when there are tools out there, especially ones you already have that can help you get through it with less discomfort. And that's all I'm trying to tell you. So, ladies, back to this education thing. Oh, he said, yeah, I just kind of healed from it. And I'm part of an alien. Well, I heal from a lot of things too. I don't go to the doctor for anything except for an injury. So, I know what that's about. The but I still recognize that no matter how high your pain tolerance is, you're going to find yourself in a situation where you just would be better off if you were better prepared for the injury. If you got back injuries, you're at work, wear a back brace. You don't have to feel like you need it, but if you have it, you're not putting extra strain on your back injury. If you've got a knee injury, wear a knee brace. You may not feel like you need it, but because you have that knee brace on, you're not putting extra strain on your knee injury. What you don't want is to re-injure your just recently healed up injury. That's what you don't want. What you don't want is to go back into remission with any kind of injury. What you don't want is to have to deal with compound injuries that takes you out of work permanently when you don't have a financial backup plan. That's what you're trying to avoid. So carrying some medical assistive devices with you just in case you need them. You've got bad ankles. Strap on some ankle braces. You might not want to bring the cane with you. You might put the ankle braces on instead of bringing the cane so that you don't have to. That's just as good. But bring something with you to hold you down. I've had foot injuries. Both kneecaps have been filleted open by rocks, calf muscles, skull, well, skill sawed. So you've been all right, and you've seen how Stone Cold Steve Austin had both of them knee braces on when he was out there doing a Stone Cold Stunner. I'm just trying to tell you, you'd have been through hell and back, and you ain't bringing nothing with you. And that's a professional wrestler. He had two knee braces, one on each side. I'm just saying. So it's up to you. You can take better care of yourself, or you can be an alpha man and grit through it and bear it. But you're deliberately tearing your body down unnecessarily just to prove a point, just to prove that you can, not because you have to, because you want to. That's really what it is. And the funny thing is that whether you have the assistive devices to help you live longer and be stronger longer, or you just run through it as a masculine man and deal with it and cut your health short, doesn't matter. It doesn't make you any less of a man. It doesn't make you any more of a man. What's gonna challenge your masculinity is when you can no longer physically do it anymore. That's what's gonna challenge your masculinity. So why expedite the challenge of masculinity? Because unlike women, women are not defined by societal expectations the way men are. Men have a strategically strict set of rules. We have to work. We have to provide. We have to do this. We have to do that. And if we don't do it, we're not a man. A woman can choose not to do it because she's a feminist, right? Doesn't mean she's not a woman. She is never defined as not a woman for not fulfilling feminine roles. All right, 24 car accidents. That's a lot of accidents. Hopefully you wasn't driving all of them car accidents, but the dynamic is still going to be the same. The day that you can't do it anymore is the day that you lose value as a man. Society will see you as a liability, not as an asset. So, going back into the world as a single man, when you decide to go back and look for a new partner, that new partner look at you as taking on a liability. She is not going to want that. Plain and simple. Five while driving, two at fault. Yeah, that's about statistical average. And the rest of them, your wife are driving, huh? um, the other half of the degree and the career is that it suggests that ladies, y'all were disciplined while others were focused on instant pleasure because we have a lot of people who don't go to college, who do not chase a career. They just try to get out there and do it quick, like the OnlyFans girls. We have no problem with fantasizing about the porn stars and the OnlyFans girls and other stuff, but men don't really want to marry porn stars and OnlyFans girls. Um, we don't have value in that type of work. We don't even really consider it work. We consider it devaluing yourself for money. We don't even want to identify it as work. It is instant gratification. It is instant pleasure. There's no effort involved in that. Um, and we actually have a lot of value in women that do work. We have value in women who stay at home and take care of the house, but we have value in women that do work because it shows that you have that discipline and that ability to get out there and go get it. But when we are looking at women who have jobs, we're not devaluing a woman for having a career. We're evaluating a woman to determine if her career can sustain the family life. You know, is if you tell me that you want to be a lawyer, you're telling me you don't have a lot of time for family. Yeah, most lawyers work 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. And if they are an average base lawyer, they're clocking out at 5. And whatever they don't get done by 5 o'clock on Friday doesn't get done until Monday the next day, Monday at 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. But if you are an aspiring attorney, you're trying to start and work your way up. I can tell you that you're not going to get yourself to the level that you want to be by clocking out at 5. So you're going to be the one that's going to be working nights and weekends, thinking about the case, going over your plans, trying to work stuff up, and then you're not going to see yourself where you want to be at without putting in them longer hours. So while the pros clock out at 5, you'll still be working on the case at 9 o'clock at night. When the pros stop working on Friday, you're still working on the case on Saturday and Sunday. And if that's what you're going to be doing, where is your time for your relationship? Where is your time for motherhood? Because again, motherhood is not just you being at the house taking care of the kids. It's about you bonding with the children the way we would say, well, if a dad wants to be a head surgeon, where is his involvement in a relationship and where is his involvement in fatherhood? Because when you start marrying your career, you start finding yourself just putting money into the pot for the household and not really doing anything else. He said Oscar Mayer truck both doors and is it in yet? Ain't that attractive? Not mention Gordon comments. Okay. Well, yeah, that to the magnitude of throwing a hot dog down the hallway, yeah. They've when they started talking about the swingers and they talked about those nudist colonies and the people that are over the age of 50 that are out the high levels of STDs and everything that's going on with that, like, but and that's really what men think about when women start talking about their body count. We had a woman that was all talking on channel about like 13 or 1500 was her declared body count. And you know the old rule is that whatever a guy says his body count is, you divide that by three because men tend to exaggerate. And uh, what a woman declares her body count is, you multiply that by three because women tend to downplay it. Um, but when you're proud to say 1,500, likely might be 4,500. And if you can remember four-digit numbers, that's insane. Like some of us stop counting after a while. The odometer just defaults, and it's like, yeah, you're the credibility there. It's like looking at a Carfax, and you're just like, this is a crash car four times over. Yeah, of course, that guy didn't care or tell her. Yeah, that's sick, bro. That is extremely sick. But they've got some. Oh yeah, body count shouldn't matter. No, a woman wants a man that's experienced. Women are like, oh yeah, you should be glad that I'm experienced. No, ma'am. That is the criteria that women have for men. Women want a man that's experienced. Women wants a man that knows how to satisfy a woman. But in order for a man to know what to do there, he would have had to have done it quite a few times. Um, Men don't want a woman that knows how to satisfy a man. Men want a woman that knows how to cooperate with the man. So your body count does matter because the closer you are to zero, the better you are for him. And the more you're willing to cooperate with him, the more you're willing to compromise with him, and the more you're willing to be present with him, and the more you're willing to aid him in his peace, the better you are for him. But women aren't really thinking about that. And none of that criteria had anything to do with her education or her career. The seals blown out, tires are done, the interior definitely worn out, and the body is definitely dinged and dented. Oh, of course. That's like taking a Porsche and putting it in a car crusher and then putting it on a showroom floor lot and charging top dollar as a brand new car. He said, "Ain't the table sheet the mattress?" Oh yeah, some feel like they're doing a lot by getting paid to lay on their back all day. I'm just like, mm. I got to be in an upright position. I don't know how they make it. I make my money sitting in the chair. um, but the women that are out there the getting the job the hard way, putting in the work, grinding it out. Yeah, going to college, getting the degrees, getting the knowledge, getting the skill set, and putting that into utilizing that career. That gives us that knowledge that creates this powerful hypothesis that she's not a quitter. And a lot of men that are still building themselves up to the success that they want to be will look at her and assume that, she is gonna be a go getter that is not gonna quit on us, and we're gonna grow with her, you know. And this is what men find attractive, not the diploma, but the discipline that it represents. So he looks at that and thinks, this woman understands commitment. When we face financial hardships or a health crisis, the stress of raising kids, she's not going to fold. And that signals reliability and stability, right? He said, it's a good thing I don't have social media. Man, the stuff that I see on social media, and I'm not always on social media. I spend most of my time doing this and then teaching folks outside of this. And then I close a few dozen deals and I try to take my ass to bed. But every now and again, I got to go and look and see what's out there because technically that is evaluating my competition. And when I go and look, and I'm like, man, this next generation is cooked. Their mindset is on a whole different level, you know? And I just think to myself, like, I'm glad I was born in the 80s because if I was trying to navigate 2025 at 20 or 25, I would have a hard way to go. But, ladies, how do you pass or fail the test that men provide in the interview of dating? Well, let's start with this. You pass when your actions and your words align with the mindset. Um, when you talk about your work, you do so with a sense of purpose. You can admit it was challenging, but you frame it as part part of a goal that you were committed to. You show pride in your work ethic, not just the outcome. And he sees that this isn't a one-time thing that you did in college. It is who you are. And you're going to fail the test when you you and your behavior contradict the signal of your degree because this is going to be a massive red flag. He said, I've had YouTube since it inception. Me neither. Never made a single video. Man, I use YouTube's playlist because Spotify had the downloaded playlist that functioned on outside of networks when you have the right Spotify account. But I had YouTube when I didn't have Spotify because I'd have to log into my Spotify account on my computer, set up my playlist, then download everything to my phone, which takes up a lot of data space. And then I could play certain songs when I'm not in network because it's downloaded onto my hard drive on my computer, on my cell phone. But YouTube, if I got a new phone, I could just log into my account and just use YouTube to listen to the music that I was listening to when I drive because I don't want to listen to the modern music because I don't have value in the low grade skill set of the modern artists that are out there right now for some genres. So I typically swing back to the old school, which is what the old guys did back in the day. I don't blame them. Uh, but I don't actually scroll for content. Now I'm scrolling for content because it's what I do. But back in the day, I didn't scroll for content. TikTok and other such platforms, Twitter, you scroll for content and you find out a lot of things. You find out tech stuff, you find out political stuff, you find out uh, discussion based controversial stuff that doesn't necessarily swing. You have new apps out there like Flip and Clappers that also content driven by debate conversations that brings people in for interactions. So yeah, is it I don't know. I live like an evil chicken. Nah, nah. I wouldn't say that. I, I'm not really blinded by the stuff that's going on in the world, and I'm not shielded from it either. Uh, I tend to remind myself that what's on social media is not everything, but it does give me a premise to start looking. So, like they had a article that came out talking about how Walmart was closing its doors for the holidays, and when I drove by Walmart on Christmas Day, the motherfucker was closed. It's like I look for the facts and then I do a little bit of research to verify if that's fake news because we have a lot of fake news that's out there that's clickbait, and then we have a lot of AI driven videos nowadays that is also clickbait. And I want to find out what the truth is. So if I see something that catches my attention, I go do some research and see if that's real. If I can't find any information to support it, then I think that I recognize that that's not real. But if I find information that supports it, then I'm like, oh, I came across something I didn't know. And if it's a topic worthy of this show, then I bring it to the show. Is it know it's banned? Evil Chicken? Nah, I don't know, man. I used to Adult Swim, Robot Chicken. I used to watch that back in the day, back when the Boondocks was a thing, when I was a kid. But now as an adult, I'm actually looking at K dramas, Korean dramas on Netflix because I ran out of American stuff to watch. So I'm on Netflix more than I'm on social media. But here's a classic example. Okay, on a date, a man will ask, "So you're a lawyer? That's impressive. What was law school like?" She rolls her eyes and says, "Ugh, it was awful. I hated every second of it. I only did it because my parents wanted me to. And now my job is just endless, stressful paperwork. I live for the weekend, right? Now, in that one response, she failed the test. He's not hearing she's a lawyer. He's hearing she's complaining and she blames her parents for her life choices, and she has no passion for what she spends most of her time doing. He sees a woman who, despite her credentials, lack a core sense of purpose. It signals that when the relationship gets tough, she's likely to complain and see it as a burden too. He said, Robot Chicken got really good actually. So is Black Mirror. Bro, I watched all of Black Mirror. I watched all of Black Mirror. I watched Black Mirror so long ago. I'm watching reruns of Black Mirror. There there are some um mind benders, and as an educated man, you and I both have the same dynamic I observe is that we're not in it for the mindless entertainment. We're looking for the plot twist. We're looking for the unexpected. We're not looking for the standard beginning, middle, and end. We're looking for the story underneath the story. And it is so good to find series on Netflix that have that maze that keeps your mind stimulated where you're still working. Right now I'm looking at a series that is about these people that got into this they all moved into this apartment complex, and then they had like a tenant meeting, and somebody started up a kill club in the meeting where one person's they everybody decides who they would wish they could have killed, and then one person would kill somebody else's target, and then that person would have to kill somebody else's target, and so forth and so forth. And like I'm on episode 7, and like 4 people have died, I believe. And now people are like, oh, who's gonna get killed next, kind of thing. And you're trying to figure out who did the killing because nobody's been arrested. And everybody else is like, oh dang, I might be the next person that has to kill somebody. I'm like, oh look, y'all got who killed the first guy? And we halfway through, we just found out 2 people don't even have a target. Like, who killed the first guy? And that's like a plot twist. Yeah, that he's mostly hearing she'll be good for the lays on the weekend. Oh yeah, damn right. Yeah, it's Philip K. Dixie. He actually postulated the idea that the was that Mandela effect occurred in the 1970s. Well, that is a possibility. The Mandela effect. Not too many people understand that effect. The possibility of an alternative. Because we're not. It's not even just the alternate universe. It's the alternate outcomes based on alternate decisions. The butterfly effect movie came like that's like the closest thing to the Mandela effect. Uh, and that movie was really wild. Dude had so many different lives that he lived to try to find a way to live a life with the girl. And at the end of the movie, he determined that he was better off never knowing her. That was the only way that he would be able to exist and she exists is that they never knew each other. And I'm like, damn, all that for nothing. Now, another way to fail this test that we were just talking about, the guy evaluating the girl's education and career, is through entitlement. Ladies, it is a thing. Believe or having the ability to believe that the degree means that you are owed a certain life or level of respect without continuing to put in the work. That belief, a man who has built his own success knows achievement is a continuous process. And that belief, ladies, you got to understand, he's drawn to a woman who shares the understanding and who is always going to grow. So, again, that belief, that's going to turn him away because he isn't looking for a woman who had the discipline in the past. He's looking for a woman who still has the discipline. Your degree is in the past and it gets you in the door, but it's your present day attitude and your present day resilience that will make him want to stay with you because what you're planning on doing with your life in the future identifies what kind of woman you will be, which identifies how you will mesh with him going forward into the future. He said, I remember watching Nelson Mandela's funeral with them rolling a card out in grade school into the classroom and broadcasting it in the 1980s. That's a long time ago, man. That's a long time ago. By the way, if any of this information that you guys have been watching over the last couple of hours has clicked with you, make sure that you guys subscribe to the channel. If you haven't done so already, hit that like button and remember to start clicking those notification buttons because I'm gonna throughout tonight and tomorrow have excuse me the rest of the week up there at least yeah the rest of the week up there because I got to get up Sunday and then Monday Tuesday and I have Wednesday Thursday and Friday available, so you're going to start seeing the rest of the upcoming week going on to the channel over the next couple of days. So make sure you do that because we do uh, deep dives into the psychology of attraction every week and you don't want to miss out on what we're going to have next. He said, I think I just want a sugar mama at this point. Yeah, but see, at our age, 40s, a sugar mama is like 60s with wealth and she's buying attention, which is the same thing as us in our 40s and 50s with wealth buying attention from an 18 to 20-year old. It's a similar dynamic. It's not going to get you happiness. Yeah, she'll buy stuff for you, but you're not going to be attracted to her. You're going to be enjoying the stuff. Yeah, double tap the screen and hit those reaction buttons. Because unlike TikTok where you could just hold the reaction button and it just continue to do, yeah, with YouTube, you have to keep mashing those reaction buttons. Depressing. Because you get carpal tunnel in your thumb by just sitting there mashing that heart button, the heart, the 100, the smiley face. Now, the second test that men are going to be doing is for the intellectual curiosity mindset. So this is where your degree comes in because we just finished talking about your career. This part is hitting your degree. And this is probably the most misunderstood of the three. He said, I've seen 50s. They got some pretty attractive women that are 45 and 50, especially in Asia. Now, many women think having a degree automatically proves that they're intelligent. But there's a world of difference between being book smart and being intellectually curious. We've talked about this before, me and Mr. Pibbs, the difference between being book smart and street smart. Book smarts are more about memorizing facts for the exams. Intellectual curiosity is a genuine desire to understand the world and explore new ideas and never stop learning, which is what I have actually done 365 days a year, where I literally look up something every day for this show, and then I look up something else every day outside of the show. And it's wild because with Netflix, I have a picture in picture where while I'm listening to the movie in the background, I'm researching stuff on the left field. Like I was watching One Piece and I looked up there was a moment in One Piece where Luffy and the other two guys, I can't remember all the characters. It's a cartoon, but they were all sitting there sharing sake, and dude said that when we share sake, that makes us brothers. And I thought to myself, is that a thing? And I went and looked it up, and I found out that in ancient Japanese culture, that the sharing of sake was done to unite individuals into family. And actually, it's an age-old custom that could still be used today where sharing 3 cups of sake is the finalization of marriagehood. So you could likely go to Japan and draw up 3 cups of sake in front of a chick. And if she's familiar with her own cultural heritage, she gonna be looking at you like, what? For real? Serious. And if you know what I can't remember what it was called off the top of my head right now, like Sakai Sakura Sakuraki Kai or something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head how it was pronounced, but I know that um it meant the joining of families, and I was like, damn, that's like some meaningful stuff. So I couldn't even watch a cartoon without doing research, right? Always trying to expand knowledge, which is another reason why I'm watching different cultures, watching entertainment from different cultures, because I like to learn new things from other places, right? So we have to recognize book smarts can be boring. Intellectual curiosity is intoxicating. A person with book smarts might be a good test taker. They might be good for trivia night at the bar. But intellectual curiosity, you're more interested in learning something new as opposed to only going off of what you learned in the past. And why does this matter so much in a life partner? Think about it like this. After years together, what are you going to do? You're going to talk, you're going to solve problems, you're going to try to explain the world to your children. A man looking for a life partner wants an interesting companion for that journey. He wants a woman whose mind is alive, not a static library of facts. God forbid we don't want to be talking about the freaking Kardashians and the Diddy party and the Epstein list on a regular basis. We want to have someone who can challenge his ideas respectfully, not devalue him as a man and cut him down, while also introducing him to new things, expanding his horizons. An intellectually curious woman signals that she will never be boring. She's a partner who will grow with him. This is critical for long term compatibilities. Okay. Hey there, dude. He's a dude. She's a dude. We're dudes. He all dude. Hey. Um, so your degree suggests that you have the capacity for higher level thinking. It creates the hypothesis that this woman has an engaged and curious mind. So, how do you pass or fail this type of test? Well, you pass by showing genuine curiosity about the world, including his world. You ask thoughtful questions. You listen to understand, not just to reply. And when he talks about his work in finance or his hobbies, building model airplanes, you don't have to be an expert about it. You just have to be curious and ask, what's the hardest part of that? Or how did you get it into that? Or how did you make that fly? Or how did you get that up there like that? You show that you see him as a source of interesting knowledge. A lot of women complain about what is called mansplaining when a guy starts teaching a girl. I thought you would be happy to see me. Talenia, I'm hoping. Name change, so I don't really recognize the name, but Talenia, if that's Talenia, hey. I had to look closer because you see the picture is this big. So when I look at the face and I'm looking at it like that, that's gotta be Talenia because that almost looks like the yeah from the last one. It's good to see you. See when y'all be changing y'all name, I be looking at the name like what? I don't remember that name from the last time. If you would have changed your profile and changed your hair, I would have not known who you was. But I looked at the face and I remember the face. So it's good to see you. I I do the best I can. I do the best I can. How you doing? Now sorry. Because when I was going through, I read the comment. I didn't even look at the profile. I read the comment. Uh, Special shout out to Talini, a long time. She's been here for a while. Wow, like almost a year. So I really appreciate when you do pop back up. Hopefully that you're doing well. Uh, but I really appreciate you swinging through. It's one of the things because I've got like a picture thing going on right now because when I do the research of my show, I put it into a script. I literally build the entire thing, and then I've got the comment section on one side and everything I'm supposed to talk to you guys about on the other. I find breaking points in what I'm talking about, come over and address everybody in the comment section, and then get back to the point. So I'm doing this, and then when I seen what's up, dude, and then I was like, oh, okay, and then I went back to the I'm lit. How are you? I'm sober. I got look. I'm chasing water with water right now. I'm chasing. I've got room temperature water chasing ice water. Strange. Yes, the ice water calms the throat because I'm talking for hours on end, days at a time, with no breaks. and then the warm water quenches the thirst. It's been so long. I know with New Year's just a couple days ago, and I didn't get 1 ounce of alcohol. I can't remember the last time I had alcohol. Several months ago, I cooked with it. That was probably it. Um, maybe either this month, probably this month, because I have a lot of extra days that I can squeeze in some cooking. I'll probably cook with it again. But that's typically when I cook with it. I don't drink as much as I used to. Not because I'm getting too old, but because I recognize the financial deficit in it, and then I'm like, it's to be too intoxicated to get stuff done, and then the extra money it costs to get that intoxicated. Just, I'll make my millions first and then get intoxicated because I don't have anything to do. Because a lot of the times the decisions that you make in life you got to recover from, and then the way you feel bad at work after the recovery, you start thinking to yourself, you know what, I probably shouldn't have done that. So that's why I'm coming from a different perspective of, if I walk into it straight and narrow, then I don't have any issues. So you can't climb a mountain of success under the influence of alcohol. You are damn right, Steven. You can't climb a mountain of success stoned off of pounds of weed neither. You can teach and chong your way through the entertainment in life, but you are not going to be able to make yourself a multimillionaire by being stoned out of your mind on a regular basis. You have got to focus at some point. Now, when it comes down to passing the intellectual challenges of men, you also can pass by having your own passions and being able to talk about those passions, explaining why your field fascinates you. This is going to show that you're educated. Your education wasn't just a uh, hoop that you jump through, but a door that you open to a world that you love exploring. You fail this test catastrophically when you use your education as a weapon. And this is going to be the woman who is book smart but not curious. And she has her facts and she believes that they make her right. And in a disagreement, her goal isn't to explore the truth, it's to win the disagreement. She might say things like, well, actually, the study I read says, or as someone with a background in psychology, I can tell you that you're wrong, right? Well, when a man hears this, he doesn't think, wow, she's so smart. He thinks she's insufferable. She is not a partner, she's a permanent debater, right? It's signals a closed mind, not an open one. And one of the issues that a lot of men have experienced with some of the educated women that we have out there is that the women have gotten their degree and closed their mind to new knowledge, especially if that new knowledge is coming from a man. And I don't know why this is, but men are supposed to be protectors and providers, and money is not the only thing that they're providing. Knowledge is also one of the things that they are providing. Is it who you talking about? Oh, okay. So today we have a topic that is covering the craft of some of the myths that are related to uh, educated women that have incomes and how that myth can negatively destroy the relationships. So, modern women believe that after going to college and getting degrees, that they can be more prestigious in the dating game, that they are more of a catch because of this piece of paper and their income. And we've seen a lot of debates about it, but women are not judged by what they do for work and what kind of degree they have. They're judged on their behavior and their attitudes. They're judged on their willingness to cooperate and comply. And we're going over a lot of the concepts that are from the male's perspective, what we actually look for in a woman versus what women believe is the case. So, today we just got down to number three where we were identifying, or number two, one of the three, and we were supposed to be identifying um, from the intellectual perspective when women come through and believe that they've got a degree and they're that smart that a man can't teach her anything new. Uh, it poses a problem in the relationship. It poses a problem on the date before we get to the relationship because a man is not going to believe that this is going to be a good fit when he has a woman that is willing to argue with him instead of learn from him. A man isn't always right, and neither is a woman. And the fact is that you're supposed to be able to take the knowledge from your partner, especially when you don't have any knowledge to contradict that. You take the knowledge from your partner, go do some research, and reinforce that knowledge. If he thinks that it's supposed to happen a certain way, and she comes back with some facts that will help him see a different side of things, then he's going to take those facts and go look into it and see how he's going to implement his plan differently. For example, um, going to the DMV. You have to go to the DMV to get your updated driver's license photo in most situations. Not so much for your vehicle registration. Not a lot of people know that 3 months before your registration is due, that you can actually pay for it online and get it mailed to your house so that you don't have to, one, be late with renewing your registration, and two, wait in that 2 to 4 hour line to get the shit done. Not too many people pay attention to that. The same way they got early voters is the same way they have early registration. Likewise, you can go and turn over your driver's license. I believe 30 to 90 days early. So you don't have to wait until after your birthday to go turn it in the card. You can go before that. And if it's close to the expiration, they may put you an 8 year extension on the renewal date. Or you can wait until it expires, but while it is expired, you can't use it anywhere, right? That's an issue. It doesn't matter how much you earn. What matters is how you look. Well, it does matter how a woman looks, but it also matters how she behaves because a less attractive woman with a more positive behavior can get a man faster than a more attractive woman with a piss poor behavior. While a more attractive woman might be readily sleepable, a guy will hook up with her regardless of her behavior when she's not being disrespectful in the scenario that they're in. When it comes down to long term relationships, a lot of women complain about how their man left her for a woman that's less attractive. Maybe even a woman that's heavier set, shorter hair, whatever the case may be, because a man will leave an eight that is self proclaimed to be a 10 and go date a five. He'll leave a seven and go date a three because the attitude that he was looking for is in the second person, not the first one. A man who's married with a woman that does not hold the right values will cheat on her with a woman that has those values. Women do the same thing. The fact is that what's missing in the relationship, your partner will find outside of the relationship. So you will see more often than not that this the infidelity in the relationship was fueled by the dysfunction that existed in the relationship. So while people are going to blame the guy for being a dirtbag for cheating on the girl, and then say nothing when the girls are cheating on the guys. The guys are going to say she's for the streets, but the girls are going to say nothing when the girl is cheating on the guy. But the thing is, the cheater cheated because what they were looking for in the relationship wasn't in a relationship. Whether they settled for less than what they were hoping for, or the relationship changed into less than what they were hoping for. Regardless of the fact, at some point from the beginning till the cheating happened, they discovered that what they were looking for was not in their relationship. And then they started looking for it outside of their relationship. And that's where the infidelity came about. Because nobody gets into a marriage like, I'm going to fuck this marriage up, especially the men. 50, $75,000. No man is like, I'm gonna fuck this relationship up. No man does that. I am going to dive deep into this marriage and then just give away half of my shit. Nobody does that. But if you don't feel valued, you don't feel appreciated, you don't feel respected, you don't feel acknowledged, you're going to get that respect, that validation, that acknowledgement from somewhere else. And that's where some of the affairs are coming from. So this unwillingness to learn new things after you've gotten your degree, it is the fastest way to kill attraction. No secure, intelligent man wants a partner who makes him feel like he's constantly being graded. Women that are psychology majors that try to analyze their boyfriend as if he's a patient. Men do not want to be in a relationship where she's not going to hear him and take action on his thoughts, feelings, and expectations, where instead she's going to judge him and analyze the philosophical concepts behind what he said instead of paying attention to what he said. That's going to piss him off. It is hard. He is gay for sure. That's exactly what they're going to tell him. They're gonna straight up, oh yeah, he's gay, and that no guy's going to want that. So women are also going to fail by just showing a lack of curiosity. You're on your phone while a man is talking, your eyes glaze over when the topic isn't about you or something that you're personally interested in. Your conversations are limited to gossip and complaining about work. In this case, your degree starts to look like a fluke, disconnected from who you actually are. Intelligence is sexy, arrogance is not. Curiosity is captivating, and your degree should be a signal for the intellectual curiosity. So we were on number two. The third one, this is going to be the final test, is for the stability and self sufficiency mindset, not independence. And I know that self sufficiency and independence are usually intertwined in society, but ladies, self sufficiency is the capabilities of holding it down until reinforcements come. So you are the front runner until the front runner shows up, and then you can hand the baton off. Independence is when you sacrifice the team for your own individual success. That's independence. Independence is when you sacrifice the family for your career. You're sacrificing the children, you're sacrificing your husband for your career. Self sufficiency is being able to hold it down until your partner can come and take over. Then, while your partner's doing that, you can go off and do whatever you want to do. Self sufficiency. So, we're going to talk about this mindset in just a second. Women ain't cheating if a man is doing his job Probably. That's not true. Um, a woman is going to have more reasons to cheat than a man, but a man might cheat more often than a woman because the things that a man would expect in his relationship are things that women are not really ready to give. The dynamic is that if a woman is not satisfied in her relationship, where women have a lot more expectations, unrealistic expectations that are not able to be met because men have to prove themselves by financially providing her the fantasy that she wants. And if he can't sustain that, she's gone. Okay. Now, men, on the other hand, only look for a few select things that most women aren't willing to do, which is respect the man, appreciate the man, value the man, validate the man's existence. You are throwing your man in the garbage every time you say you don't need him, that you can do this by yourself. Well, of course you can do this by yourself. But a man that is on your level is a man that can do for you exactly what you can do for yourself. So while you can hold your own umbrella in the rain, me holding the umbrella in the rain for you is what I'm supposed to do as a man, and how you are appreciated by me because I don't want you wet and I don't want you sick. So I'm going to hold your umbrella. Now, since I'm holding your umbrella, you can hold everything else, your purse, your cell phone, all of the other stuff that you got going on. When we go grocery shopping, you can carry your own purse, but you give your purse to your man so he can hold your purse while you're using both of your hands to look at the clothes and all of this other stuff. The things that a man can do for you, you can do for yourself. He's not your servant, but at the end of the day, he is supposed to be able to do the things for you that you can do for yourself. Now, when you get a man that can do more for you than what you can do for yourself, you can't get yourself a bus pass, but this man can get you a trip around the world. Yeah, that's a step up. It's not about the money. It's not about the money at all. It's about the character. It's about the behavior. It's about the investment into one another. You see what I'm saying? So the dynamic is with men, we have very few things. We're not looking for a woman that's gonna do like all of this gaudy stuff because exactly what stuff does a man want? He needs you to keep things organized while he's at work and back him up on expansion. If we're renting, we want to buy something that we can own. If we have a small place, we want to get a bigger place to have room for the kids. If we have a kid, we might need to expand to have another kid, but we're looking for expansion and a partner that's going to aid us in that. But if we have a partner that doesn't want to expand, now we have a problem. We have a partner that is all about herself, where she's taking care of her and he's taking care of her too. Now we've got a problem. The moment that that man finds a woman that's like, oh, that's okay, I'll take care of you and I'll take care of me, that's a new experience for him that he's missing in his relationship. And that's what leads to that infidelity. If people ain't matching, nothing can help them. Well, actually, the people don't necessarily have to 100% match one another. What you're looking for out of the relationship needs to be there in the beginning, or at least a potential for it. And we have to change what we're looking for, because if you have the potential to be a executive employee, but you have the ability to balance your time to still be able to maintain a relationship, and you have the willingness and the desire to raise a family as well. If you meet a man that also wants to start up his own business and he has the desire to start up a family, y'all don't necessarily have to match. Y'all could be in conflicting fields. One can be in real estate and the other one can be a stockbroker. The thing is that she has to analyze his expectations for what he wants his partner to do, and then she has to agree with that. So if he wants children and she doesn't want children, the relationship is not going to work out because he will always be unhappy because he's going to give her what she wants, but she's not going to give him what he wants. Okay. Um, in the dynamic where, and this goes both ways because but men look for this. Women don't look for this. Men look for love is a choice. It's not the key. Love is a choice. Okay. You choose to love this person. You choose to stay here. You choose to be here when it's bullshit in the same way you choose to be here when it's good. You choose to stay in the thick of it the same way you choose to stay on a bad job. You choose to stay in a bad relationship and call that love. It's a choice. It's not the key. The key is paying attention to what you want out of this and what you're willing to put into this to get it to where both of y'all want it to be. That's the key. And it requires you to not just focus on what you want to get out of the relationship. You have to focus on what the other person is looking for and determining if you're willing to give that. You do it with a job interview. You look at the job, you look at the pay, you think, I want that money. What are they expecting from me? And then you decide, do I want, oh yeah, we dig deep every day. We dig deep every day. You decide whether or not you're going to perform those roles. If you're willing to perform those roles, you will apply for the job. If that is too much damn work for that amount of money, you say, nope, let me go find a different job. The same thing happens in a relationship. You're looking at this man, instead of talking about what your favorite color is, what your favorite food, your favorite holiday, your favorite movie, all of the favorite things that you like in life, you need to be finding out from him, what does he expect his woman to do 5 years into the relationship? What kind of household does he expect to run with her? How many kids does he want to have? Does he even want to have kids? Is he going to be okay with her being gone 6 days a week, doing 10-hour days at work? Or does he want a woman that's staying at home? Find out what kind of expectations that this man is looking for in a long term relationship, and then ask yourself if that's what you want to do with your life. And if that's not what you want to do with your life, that's the wrong man for you. It ain't about if he bought a $500 meal at a five-star restaurant. Y'all could have had this discussion over splitting one cup of coffee at a Starbucks. I'm just going to be real with you. Y'all could have got two glasses of ice water at a McDonald's and y'all could have worked this shit out. And you would know that this is the kind of person that you're going to grow with. You're living with your mama. He might be living with his mama. But y'all just he wants to get his own place. You want to get your own place. Y'all got potential. You might want to buy something down the line. He might want to buy something down the line. He's fixing his credit after a bad thing. You might be fixing your credit after a divorce. Y'all still got something. Okay. Y'all don't have to be perfect for one another. Opposites attract. Okay. Similarities are going to be there, but the differences between you keeps the relevance in the relationship. Oh, it ain't about the love. You said it again. Love is the key. Love is not the key. Love had nothing to do with that. That was logic and rationale. That was complete logic and rationale. Nowhere in there is if your feelings are still there, that it's good. People fall out of love 50 years in a marriage. You're going to keep saying that love is the key, but love is not the key. Because where does love come from? Where does love come from? How is love maintained in the relationship? The emotional connection between the two individuals is not going to keep the relationship strong. The determination to cooperate with each other will keep the relationship strong. Chemistry is the sex in the bedroom. And when you get out the bedroom, if y'all don't agree, y'all still fighting. You can love them and divorce them at the same time. Y'all got chemistry. Y'all exes. Y'all still sleep together, but y'all can't live together. Y'all can't grow together. Y'all can't build nothing together. Love is not the key. Oh, it is a variation. It is involved. There should be some level of chemistry in there. I'm not saying that you can exist in a 50-year relationship without some level of love and some level of commitment and some level of chemistry. But what I am saying is that the mindset of the person is not the emotional statement that is presented from the person. Because when you think chemistry, you're thinking your sex appeal versus his sex appeal. You're thinking um, the body language that we give to one another in interaction with one another. And then I'm talking about whether or not we buy this $20,000 car or this $500,000 house. I'm talking about whether or not we pay for your second 4 years of college so that you can get a promotion on your job. I'm talking about whether or not we put forth retirement funds to quit early, or we start with vacations every 3 months. It's first, then negotiations. Chemistry, okay, okay. So from first contact, let's start there. From first contact, there's gonna be some level of chemistry, not love. And from first contact, you're gonna start evaluating this person to determine if this person is the right fit for you. Well, men are. Women are going to be overwhelmed by the quantity of money the man's spending. But um, the honeymoon phase, the first 3 months of interactions with one another, the amount of money that the man spends is not going to be relevant anymore. The woman is going to start looking at everything else. How much sex she puts out is not going to be relevant anymore. The man is going to start looking at what else she puts out. The chemistry might have been the beginning of the relationship, the physical contact with one another, the lust, the desire for one another, the dedication to that chemistry might be considered love, but your ability to work together as a long-term family is not about the love. It is about the determination to make this work. Okay. And there's going to be chemistry there. But you have marriage contracts where people get married for the sake of, and that is going. But what does that have to do with whether or not? What does that have to do with anything? Uh, the marriage contracts are still existing where people get married for a common goal. There is no chemistry there. There is a common goal, and they work towards that common goal. And after they achieve that common goal, some people might find love in the marriage, and some people might not. Some people might stay married just for it. Like you might get married for the inheritance. Y'all can split the money or keep the money and stay in the relationship where they last a long time. Well, tell me how it works for you. Well, first of all, it's not about me. But how it works for me is the same way that it works for the everyone else that's utilized. Well, how it works for men in general, because men and women are a lot different, is that we evaluate the women based on this set of criteria. And how it works for me, the same way it works for other men, is that we sustain long-term relationships with the kind of woman that is willing to cooperate with the agenda. And if the woman isn't willing to cooperate with the agenda, over time, the woman ends up being replaced. Whether that is a breakup, whether that's an affair, whether that's a divorce, it depends on how far the relationship gets if the woman isn't willing to cooperate with the agenda. Now, most relationships don't last past 1 year, 5 months, and 6 days, specifically because people get together for the wrong reasons and then they try to make something that's not compatible work specifically because they have different interests and they're not willing to change. And the unwillingness to change is the biggest problem. Right. But you're divorced because your partner wasn't compatible with your agenda and you weren't compatible for his, which brings us back to the stability and sufficiency in the relationship. So, this is the understanding that you guys are whole individuals on your own and capable of managing your own lives financially and emotionally, and you are with the partner of your choice by choice, not by necessity. This is a huge factor for a successful man. Why is that? Because his number one fear is being used. Every man's number one fear is being used. The more successful he is, the more a man is going to fear being used. He is not only afraid of being seen as a walking ATM or a solution to someone else's chaotic life, men are often utilized as a walking ATM or the solution to someone else's catastrophic life, which is one of the reasons why men are starting to evaluate the intro level questions from a woman to determine whether or not she is identified as a quote unquote gold digger. Because a man wants a partner, not a dependent. He wants a teammate, not a project. He also doesn't want to be in a relationship for a dictator either. But for sure, I would never get married again. Well, yeah, you said that before on the show, and I understand that. Some women are only going to get married once and they're not going to get married a second time. Men will try multiple times. A man will be 3 times divorced looking for the fourth wife. But if they change their narratives, there shouldn't be a second. There shouldn't be a third. But if you learned after the third wife that your expectations were flawed, when you get to the fourth wife, that one will be the last one. So a woman who has her life together is profoundly attractive because she neutralizes the fear, which is where what was his name? Neo was singing about Miss Independent way back in the day. Yes, a woman that's got her own is very attractive. When she's financially responsible and emotionally stable, it sends a powerful message that I'm choosing you for who you are, not for what you can do for me. So when women tell a man, "Oh, I don't need you, I can do it all by myself," well, fuck, that's what the hell we were expecting, but we don't want you to talk shit to me about the fact that you can do it all by yourself. I expected you to do it by yourself. But when I dive in and I offer to do it for you, you're supposed to let me do that because that's the position that I am is to bring something in and make your stress less, which gives you more time and more effort or more time and more availability to put effort into making my stress less. Because your stressors and my stressors are different. What a man stresses about is not going to be the same as what a woman stresses about. And ironically, the the way a man protects his woman is not the same way that a woman protects her man. We're probably going to have to come do a whole show about the different ways that a woman can protect her man because it's not about fighting for him or spending any money on him. But this is going to allow a man to relax. It's going to allow a man to trust his woman and it's going to allow a man to open up to his woman. It's the foundation for real intimacy. and your degree and your career and your expectations coming into this are the most obvious signals for this type of dynamic. It tells him that you had a plan for your life that didn't depend on a man rescuing you. It suggests that you can earn an income and manage your own life. And the hypothesis that he forms is this woman is a self sufficient adult and she's a potential partner, not a potential burden. So, how do you pass or fail this? Well, you pass by demonstrating competence in your own life. You have a budget, you pay your own bills, you talk about your future goals, which I have asked women on many of occasions. Hold on. He said, true, but I have never seen such a man around me. Well, am big. True. You might have to go somewhere else. Men these days are flying to different countries trying to find the right woman. Now, you don't have to be a millionaire. You just have to be responsible with your stuff. Emotionally, you pass this test by being stable. You can regulate your own emotions without creating unnecessary drama, hissy fits, trauma, silent treatments, all this other stuff. You have your own friends and hobbies. You're happy in your own, happy on your own by yourself, and a relationship just adds to that life. You don't treat him like an emotional support animal. A man is drawn to a woman who is a source of peace, not chaos. You fail this test when your behavior contradicts the stability that your degree implies. And this is the woman with a master's who is drowning in credit card debt from constant shopping. She makes a good salary, but is always broke. She hits that she hints that he should pay for everything as an expectation. And this immediately triggers a man's user alarm. You also fail with emotional dependency because this is a woman who, despite her professional success, is a mess in her own personal life. She needs constant validation and is insecure and jealous. Every minor issue becomes a major drama. This is going to be exhausting. He wants a partner to share the load of life with, not someone who adds to that load. Oh, I'm a beautiful soul, but they don't see that. Well, a lot of times has to, the inner you doesn't always show when the inner you is suppressed by trauma or resentment or bitterness from the past person. In your display of who you are or who you were, your dissatisfaction with men by decree leads men to believe that you're bitter, which then will discourage a man from communicating with you because they're going to assume that you have not healed from the last relationship. So isn't it most women are broken nowadays? Yes. Which is why men are chasing women that are younger in age because they have less chaos under their belt. It's not about getting the girl that's fresh out of the cradle. It's about getting a girl that hasn't been destroyed by society yet. One of the reasons why men go after girls with a lower body count is because men are looking for a woman that has less emotional damage. Because each time she gives herself to a man, she expresses a level of emotion that ends up in some level, some kind of trauma from the negative outcome of that relationship. It doesn't matter if it's a one night stand. It doesn't matter if it's a long term relationship that ended badly. There's some emotional trauma there. Women that use sex to validate their existence. There's extensive trauma for that. And no man wants to get into a relationship and be the therapist for the woman out the gate the same way no woman wants to get into a relationship and be the caretaker for a man out the gate. And if a woman is in doubt, that is not necessarily a no. But if that is the case for me, finances must be separate, and I'm not saving the woman financially. But ironically, though, you are. You are gonna save that woman. This is how it gets fucked up, Steven. This is how it gets fucked up. Um, if she's in debt, it's not a deal breaker because y'all can get yourselves out of debt. But you are going to be saving her financially. Yeah, yeah. I was reading that and looking at something else at the same time. The debt. I understand what you're saying. You're saying that if she's in debt, she's got bad credit. If her credit score is like a 400, that's not necessarily a deal breaker. And you're right because men don't care about what a woman has or doesn't have. Men are required in a relationship to have the assets. So the men is supposed to have a 720 credit score and six figures and own his own house and three cars and all this other stuff. Women can be bankrupt and thousands, millions of dollars in debt, homeless, living under an overpass. And if she has a positive attitude and she's willing to grow, a man will take her off the street and turn her into a Fortune 500 woman. The women don't have to bring shit to the table besides a positive attitude, a can do attitude, and a will improve behavior pattern. That's really it. That's really it. She don't even have to be attractive a lot of the time. She just has to have the attitude to work with a man, and that would make the thing. See, as he said, men nowadays are weak. They are, but being a woman saying that to men will turn men away from you. Knowing it and saying it are two different things. Saying it, well, saying it on the podcast, you're free to say it here on the podcast. But if you were to make that statement in front of a man that you were calling yourself trying to date, if that would have been the man that you were interested in, he'd walk out the door on you. But harboring that resentment is going to have subconscious behavior patterns that are going to discourage men. But Stephen, let me go back and tell you why you are saving the woman financially. Here's the thing. A woman that's already in debt that still has those bad spending habits that caused her to get into debt. What's going to happen is that you are going to take over her financial responsibilities. That's saving her. And the difference between you taking over her financial responsibilities with a financially stable woman that's able to take care of her own shit versus a financially wasteful woman that you're taking over her responsibility is that when you take over her financial responsibility, she has the ability to be more wasteful. She's still going to be in debt, but she no longer has any responsibility. That's where you saved her. You get one. While yes, we did not have the right wisdom growing up, we didn't learn the right things growing up. We made our financial choices. We got to build back off of that in our 30s and 40s. You can find a woman with a little bit of debt, but if she's rebuilding her debt, she's rebuilding her credit, she's trying to buy a house, she's trying to buy her own car, all of these wheels that we're trying to turn real quick in order to get her into a position where she can be sustainable the way sustainable is supposed to be. You find that woman, when you step in, y'all are paying down both of y'all's debt. Y'all are paying down y'all student loans. Y'all are starting to buy stuff. Y'all are starting to get things situated. And then you find yourselves more satisfied because you're able to improve. That is what we're talking about. Hold on real quick. I'm going to take a short break real quick. Let me pop this in.
Higher ground. Used to chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. Standing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality.
All right, I appreciate you guys waiting for me for a moment. I had to step out real quick. That was a little bit of an emergency. Now, um, so where were we? Um, yeah, we were talking about the reason why she actually turns into a um a liability, the difference between somebody who's starting over versus somebody who's not interested in being responsible. That's the difference. So when you think to yourself that a person in debt is not necessarily a deal breaker, I agree with you. No man should be a deal breaker just because he's coming back off of bankruptcy or a lot of debt or a divorce, the cost of raising a child or whatever the case may be. And no woman should be a deal breaker just because she's coming from the same. However, recognizing their spending patterns, when they go shopping, how much are they spending? Um, Entertainment, how much are they spending? What's her budget look like? You know what I mean? What's her financial background look like? She doesn't have to tell you like every single stock that she's investing in, but like, what's your portfolio look like? What's your savings look like? Do you believe that you have enough money set aside to cover your standard of living for 6 months, 9 months, 18 months? Like, what's your emergency funds look like? These are the kind of observations that you can have early on in a relationship to recognize that a girl with a 500 credit score can be building herself up from bad decisions in the past, where she learned from her mistakes and she's starting to be better. But again, you can also be dating a chick that does not have anything outside of her last paycheck. She's got the next pay period off as a vacation, bills coming up, and she's hanging out with you, living the life of Rowley because you're paying for it. The difference between the two women is that the first woman you can grow with, the second woman will hold you back. The ultimate turnoff for a capable, stable man is a capable, stable woman. Well, the ultimate turn on for a capable and stable man is a capable and stable woman, and a turn off for that man is going to be the woman that is not stable, even if she is capable. So when he sees you, special shout out to Dylan. I'm on time. No, you are 3 hours late. You are 3 hours late. We've been on the show so long, I had to take me a short intermission. I do need to start running the show back through 1 o'clock in the morning because I was running the show it is what it is. We started on time and then we ended on time, and since we ended on time, we ended up wrapping the show up like 11:15, 11:20 Central Standard Time. But hey, well, you got to make your money though. You got to make your money. And any of the shows that you missed, you can always go back and replay them. So, and throw comments in the comment section. Either way, and I'll respond to those comments because it'll feed to me. It'll feed to me one way or another. Just because I'm not live, don't mean I'm not gonna see your comments. Um, so, fellas, when you see um when the man sees the woman where she's built a life for herself, it makes a man want to be a part of that life because he can trust that she is in it for the right reasons, which she's in it for the guy. She's in it for what he is willing to do with her, not just what he's willing to pay for her. For decades, women have been told to get the degree, climb the ladder, and present those accomplishments as proof of their value. And men have been telling women for years that your degree and your employment is not where value is placed from men. Yo, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? But in the world of attraction, the accomplishment itself is not the prize. That's what we keep trying to tell you, ladies. It's a signal, but it's not the prize. A high quality man isn't impressed by the paper your degree is printed on. He's impressed by the mindset of the woman who earned that degree. He didn't care about your title, but he cares deeply about your growth, your discipline, and the mindset that you carry along with that. Your resilience and your ability to see a commitment through to its end beyond all means. He doesn't care about your GPA because, I mean, when has a GPA ever gotten you to a marriage? But he is captivated by your intellectual curiosity because that mindset goes a lot longer. Your passion for learning and your ability to be an engaging partner for life is what the man is interested in, which is why I was telling Talenia that, truth be told, like, it ain't it. Uh, people identify your loyalty and dedication to somebody as love. The weird feelings you have, the anxiety that you get, they call that love. The um fact that you can't get this person off of your mind, they identify that as love. It is a form of a bond, but love is a choice. Because when that person gets on your damn nerves, you stay there. When you are annoyed by that person, you stay there. When you wish that person would fall down every step on the way down to the ground floor, not because you want them to die, but you just want them to hit every bump on the way down just to make you laugh because they're getting on your dang nerves, you stay with them. That's a choice. That's a choice. 20 years into the marriage, y'all ain't got shit to talk about how good total is. Sex is not even in the relationship anymore. It's a choice. Okay. And a relationship is built off of choices. So it doesn't require fundamentally a foundation of love. It has to have a foundation of positive choices. Because if you don't have a foundation of positive choices, you're going to end up falling apart. Build a stack of cards from the ground up where the first row is just one triangle and every row after that is an additional triangle. You will find that that is the wrong direction to build that stack of cards. And without some glue, that stack of cards will not stand. It will not stand. You use the right decisions, you can stack it from the ground up. You can expand on it. But for every tier you want to grow, you have to go outward first. You start with one triangle. In order to go up 2 levels, you have to go out 2 levels. In order to gain 2 levels, three at the bottom, two in the middle, one at the top, you have to go out 2 levels to gain 2 levels more. Six, five, four, three, two, one. Come on now. That's what this is about. So, ladies, he doesn't care about the prestige of the university that you went to, but he finds immense security in your stability and self sufficiency mindset, which is your ability to manage your own life and choose him freely outside of his money and how much money he can potentially spend on you. Your education is the starting point of the conversation. It's the hypothesis that you might just be the kind of resilient, curious, and stable woman that he's been looking for. The real test is how you live your life after you've graduated. So stop trying to impress men with your resume. Instead, focus on embodying the powerful mindset your achievements only hint at. Cultivate the discipline, nurture your curiosity, take ownership of your financial and emotional well being. Take ownership and responsibility for the actions and the decisions that you make. For real. Because when you do that, your degree becomes what it was always meant to be, not the source of your value, but a reflection of the incredible, high value woman that you already are. And that is a woman that no high quality man can resist. So, if you're ready to stop leaving your love life to chance and start strategically attracting a partner by developing these mindsets, I have something for you. Especially if you guys stick with us, because we have the most advanced strategies and insights that isn't shared anywhere else. And this will be for those women who are serious about transformations. So, throughout the upcoming episodes, because we have a lot of shows coming up. Tomorrow, Sunday, is going to be our questions and comments from the fans. We have some financial conversations coming up on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, because Monday we're going to be talking about any changes in the politics that impact our money. We're going to be talking about on Tuesday ways to invest and save and budget our money. And then Wednesday, we're going to be talking about different countries around the world that we can invest in and potentially move to live in. And then we have Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays, where ladies, we will be able to give you the advice that you can utilize, strategies and insights that you can utilize to better understand from the perspective of men the dynamics of social interactions, which will allow you to navigate the current dating pool. So instead of taking some of this information to heart and feeling offended by it, take a lot of this information and learn about it. Because if you find yourself right now, today, watching this podcast as a single woman, you won't be single long if you make quite a few changes. A lot of women say that they're single by choice. Partially true, because you're single because of some bad choices that were made in the past, but you are not staying single by choice. You are staying single because partially you have not found the man that you want to be with that wants to be with you. You recognize that there's some flaws that you have that you're not willing to work on, and there's some flaws that you have that you are willing to work on. You're recognizing that some of the men have flaws that you're not interested in and they're interested in you, and some of the men that have what you're looking for that's not interested in you, and you're not willing to work with the men that you're not interested in. You're trying to grow, he's trying to grow too. We're going to be providing you guys with advanced strategies and insights that will help you be able to navigate your ability to present yourself more effectively to the type of men that you're hoping to attract. Now, one of the things that you're going to do, you're not going to like it, but you're going to have to do it, but you're going to have to change how you present yourself on a daily basis. So, all of those overly attractive outfits probably not going to benefit you for finding a higher value man. Yeah, you'll find a thug. Yeah, you'll find a guy that's only after you for sex. But finding a guy that values you for who you are requires you to change your whole wardrobe. But guess what? The bright side about this is, ladies, you get to go shopping. So the dynamic is clear. Going forward with the knowledge that you have now, ladies, you now know that men do value you as a person, but we do not value the piece of paper that you can buy offline and tape it up on the wall. We do value you as a independent, hardworking woman, but we hold no value for your employment in our relationship because we are not expecting you when we're looking for you to pay for the bills that we pay for as men. So, because your money doesn't matter to us because we're not dating you for your money, your career doesn't matter to us. Outside of how are you going to be able to manage your career and our relationship at the same time? How are you going to be able to chase your ambitious dreams of being however high up in the company that you're trying to get into versus how much you're going to expand the relationship that we're going to be into, whether it's kids, whether it's marriage, whatever, versus CEO, partner, whatever? How are you going to navigate the two? Because the higher up the corporate ladder you get, the more you're married to the job, the more you expand your family, the less availability you have for the job. And that works for both husband and wife. A family man is going to be limited to his 35 to 40 hours a week in order for him to spend more time with his kids. Middle management is 65 to 80 hours a week, which means he has no time for his kids. Now he's looking at his kids 20 minutes, 30 minutes a week. He'll walk in on them when they're sleeping. He might see them in the morning on their way out to school while he's on his way out for work, and that's about it. If he's home for dinner on time, might be a thing. But more often than not, it's not a scenario. So, with that being said, I want to make sure that you guys take the opportunity to like and subscribe to the show. Make sure that you guys join the membership if you have the opportunity to. Hit those notification buttons for the upcoming shows that we're going to be putting up tonight. If you're watching us from Twitch or Twitter, I greatly appreciate you guys coming. Y'all can hit the follow buttons over there and go and look at any of the archive shows that we have on YouTube. I want to start by saying, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you, ladies, to make it make sense. So, ladies, please make it make sense. And y'all remember that the information that we provide to you from a male's perspective, because this is a male-driven podcast from a male's perspective, is designed to make the men higher value men by not only providing you with information to help you improve your professional life, but also by providing you guys with information to help you improve your personal life. And ladies can also use this information to make yourselves higher value women as well. It just requires you to find the things that are inside of your control in your life that you would like to change and apply that, and then navigate around the things that you cannot. With that being said, I want to thank you guys for coming to this and that. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I'll see you guys.
My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. I'm not mounted on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never yield.